Hey guys, this is here bringing you another video and welcome back to a Challenger Spectate. Not done one of these in a little while, but you guys seem to enjoy them. They are typically my most educational content, or one of. Because we get to watch the best players pretty much in the world, in SOLOQ at least, and see what they do. So, we are watching a Nidalee, and the question we're kind of asking is Nidalee still the queen of SOLOQ? Because the idea of Nidalee, you know, she's not... Well, she has been a pro play champion here and there over the years, but not really. She's basically a specialist champion. And even with pros, the average pro jungler will not touch Nidalee. But then we all know a pro or two over the years that is an absolute insane Nidalee. You know, the OG one back in the day was Hotshot GG. So this game is quite interesting. Some people may have already recognized someone on the enemy team. Mr. Curling Captain himself, that is Broxer, playing Yorick. So Yorick, obviously, this is played on a new patch. He has had a bit of a rework to kind of change him a little bit, to make him a little bit more skill expressive, because his skill expression of the champion has been, well, it hasn't really existed for a long time, because all of his strength was really in his ghouls and his maiden. They've toned down maiden and ghouls and put more strength into Yorick himself, which I am completely fine with that change. Now, one of the biggest strengths of Nidalee is she is an incredibly fast jungle clearer. One of the fastest, you know, and I'm sure every now and then, you know, we had like the Darius one pop up or something pops up, but consistently Nidalee is always in the top percentile for jungle clearing. She's also very early game dominant. You know, she's very fast at, you know, stealing stuff, jumping over walls, being in cougar form. So high aggression is kind of what's recommended on this champion if you are going to play her. What's interesting to me is her rune setup. Conqueror. So Conqueror, I would say, is strong. You know, historically it has been a very strong rune over the years. What's her clear going to be? Oh, she's not even doing blue. So there is an argument, and you can see Broxer is just heading over to red now, and you know, none the wiser that his red is already gone. There is an argument sometimes when it comes to jungle clearing. If you can get away with not doing your buff until the last, theoretically, you're actually having the buff for longer in potentially a combat situation. So if she did his red and did his raptors and then immediately did blue, you're actually wasting a lot of that blue for when you could go do a gank. But now she has blue now, and it's lasting longer when she could look for a gank eventually. Like, that's kind of the idea. The Yorick is going for a top lane play, does actually flash by the look of it. Riven nearly goes down. Aurora gets the kill on Galio. Again, Aurora, her damage is way too high. And here's the exact same thing that's happening again. So she's not doing red. She's doing the kind of neutral stuff first. Like, not neutral, but like the smaller camps first. Then she'll do red, which is going to refresh the red buff that she stole for the longest time. And then she could look for a gank. And now she's got blue and red in the most amount of time. Now, again, why is she not doing red? You might ask straight away. Well, the neutral camps have actually spawned, so she's actually going to go, oh, I'll go do the neutral camp, because then that stops a Yorick potentially getting this. You might even look for a gank, but what she theoretically should do... Oh, here comes the gank. Does get cocooned. Doesn't get the kill. Does a bit of damage over to the Elise. Is taking quite a lot of damage, though. And I was going to say, before she should base, and we'll see if she does it, before she bases and she's not doing it, theoretically, she should do this red. Because while this red is up, that's golden experience that is on the board, and you're not, you know, right now it should be dead and having a respawn timer to come up quick again. Now, the one thing that it does do leaving it up is it really messes with jungle spawn timers. Because normally, if you're, you know, the Yorick on the enemy team, you go, right, she took my red. That means her red should spawn, you know, you could just give a rough timer a minute after mine because she spawns it. Well, it's not going to, because she hasn't even done that red yet. Now, you can see the aggression level of a Nidalee, by the way. She spawns, her red is still up, by the way, and she immediately just goes, I'm going to go steal some camps. Now, obviously, stealing camps is a very high priority thing if you're a jungler that can get away with it, because what is this fundamentally doing? You are absolutely delaying a smite buff for the enemy jungler. This could be a good gank into a big spear, very nice gank, and again a good rel timed gank. So again, that is a perfect example of when supports should gank, because there's nothing to lose. Your Ezreal and Rel, I think they both just went back. Ezreal's running back to lane, but the minion wave is very safe near his tower at the time. So you can leave him and it's safe. You do a gank, and then Rel doesn't even have to go back down there. Why? It's also an Ezreal. Ezreal is one of the best AD carries to leave alone in bot lane because of his... Oh, does smite that because he did get that a little bit too away. But yeah, he's got insane mobility, and he's also against a Ziggs who has no kill pressure in the early game. So Elise has gone down to bot lane, and she's showing. I think that could be a relative mistake. There's the Yorick. Because the Grubbies are spawning. But the negative of this is the Riven just died. So where right now the blue team should have advantage on this because the enemy support is late or hasn't moved, right now the red team is getting away with it because the Riven already died. Now they are going to commit to the Urgot. Does get the auto attack there. She obviously, remember, she has used flash. Galio coming down does get the ultimate hit. Nidalee's going to try and get a bit of regen. Riven obviously is, by the way, on the way back. Aurora's committing for a Rel kill, which I'd say is probably okay considering that gives the feat of strength straight away for the kills. Again, it is also worth mentioning no red side, or that red buff on Nidalee's red side is still up. She has not killed it once. So I would personally say that is a somewhat of a mistake. And, you know, challenger players don't always play perfectly. But what she's prioritizing is high aggression that's trying to be a very big distraction for the enemy team. Now, the Aurora does make quite a big mistake here. Nidalee's going to get that kill. And then they could even try to get an Elise here. Lands the spear. Doesn't land it, just a little bit too far range. And look, Yorick is doing his red. Obviously, Yorick has not had a red buff yet. Can Nidalee get it? No. No, Yorick does get it, but he might go down for it. He hasn't got flash. He is, as you can see, his E, which is the slow. He's trying to prioritize hitting the Nidalee. But alas, it is not enough because the Rel, by the way, has been now, what, not in bot lane for a minute or two. Let me know what you guys think when it comes to this meta. Like, I don't love it. I like when supports are fundamentally supports in bot lane. I think it's got a bit silly. Now, again, question for me right now, why isn't Nidalee doing at least one of them? So you can see at the top here, the Void Grubs. The enemy team's got one. They've got 0, which means there is 2 left here right now. Even if Nidalee isn't that interested in them, she should still take one of them away. Now, why she's not doing it is because the whole jungle is about to be up. And again, it's not very good if you're leaving all of your camps up at any amount of time, because that is fundamentally golden experience. You're leaving on the table. Now, she might, again, that was just a test. Are they doing that? Ezreal obviously is in a 2v1, but again, this Elise shouldn't try to dive this. Again, it might look okay, but diving an Ezreal is just a bit silly. 1, he's running cleanse this game, and 2, it's an Ezreal, so he's running cleanse. He can't, you know, he's not going to stay CC'd, and he's got insane mobility. So to me, that's an Elise overplaying because it hasn't been going well so far. If the game was going well, you don't have to do that dive. They're probably feeling pressured, going, oh god, the enemy team's starting to snowball a bit. So Brox are going for a 2v1, but again, run into the double of the Nidalee and the Rel. They're working very well together, haha. Does flash away, and again, they want to do the dragon. The Galio probably is dead here. Oh, good dodges though. No mana on this Aurora. Nidalee gets the kill, double kill with the landing the spear. This is what a Nidalee can do. So again, not many junglers actually have this amount of presence to them in the early game. And again, the farm, Nidalee is out farming Yorick, and I say mainly because she's actually stolen a few camps away. If she hadn't stolen those camps, they'd be roughly even right now. But yeah, this is a very good showing of what a Nidalee can actually achieve. She is really still wanting this dragon. She is going to get it, and she's also going to get the neutral scuttle. Obviously, Broxah is struggling a little bit on the Yorick. I obviously know, because I do follow Broxah, he's a good guy. He's only recently picked up Yorick as a jungler. Is this Nidalee allergic to this red, by the way? I've never seen someone just go, I am not doing it. Oh, that was not great by the Rel. If I was that, again, you could argue the Ezreal should have dodged, but the Rel maybe should have taken the hit there, because she's just fundamentally tankier. So the Ezreal does go down. But again, is his first death. Sorry, I've got hiccups apparently. But yeah, now the continuation of her clear. Still, again, has not done her own red buff at all this game. She's done the exact same thing she did earlier, but this time she didn't smite the wolf. She's moving a little bit quickly away from the wolf camp. And again, when it comes to jungle optimization, oh, Broxter, again, he's got no flash. With how the enemy team has played, I would just massively expect you're going to be jumped on, especially by the Rel. This is how she's played this whole game. They are going to continue for this Elise. He has got a nice escape route, though. But the chain CC, the Ziggs, by the way, is even here. That is Ziggs' bot lane. So it's leaving Ezreal to be alone in bot. Nice spear land. Rel is going to go down. Riven is on the way. The mines does slow the blue team. I wouldn't continue this if I was blue team. Nice, another spear hit. So again, some people may like even be getting a bit like, oh my god, the Nidalee should be doing her jungle clear. Now this is the thing, right? Yorick scales a lot better than Nidalee. So there is an argument that the Nidalee, oh, she's left the game. That's not great. But the Nidalee is 8-0. She's playing great. She's been involved in 9 of the 10 kills. Obviously, disconnecting is not good. Even challenger players occasionally disconnect, I guess. But there she's back. Why would this Nidalee, where it doesn't look like optimal jungle clear, play like this? Because that's Nidalee. This is kind of one of the things I would say is, over the years, when especially I'm in a bit of a jungle mood, the amount of comments that I get going, oh, Huz, you're not doing optimal jungle clear. You need to clear it the moment it comes up. You don't. It's very situational. Nidalee is a early game, hyper aggressive champion that she wants to snowball a game before 15 minutes. And if you're just chain farming and you're just doing the clear on cooldown, well, that's a lot less time actually spending snowballing against enemy champions, which is what Nidalee's strength is. But if you're playing a Karthus, who is a late game scaling, you know, jungler, then yeah, clear, do a lot of farming, do the occasional gank. Nidalee's the other way. So when it comes to farming correctly and farming optimally, it really does depend which jungler you're playing. And some junglers are a little bit weird, like something like a Lee Sin. There are games, there's times that you should do good farming, and there's games then times that you can just be an absolute I'm gonna gank all the time. It varies, and that's the cool thing. Why, to me, again, people say, how the hell have I played League for so long? That's part of it, and you know, it's because League is it's not boring. It's different every game, and it's where like even the one-trick players, their games even do change a fair amount every game, even if they're playing the same champion, because it depends what you're against. It depends what's on your team. All these factors make it of what you should be doing at any given time. So Nidalee, again, looking to help. You can see that they've actually put the bot lane of Ziggs and Elise in mid lane, probably just trying to help with a bit of pressure. But with the Nidalee having such high tempo, it's really hard to even keep up with that. So Nidalee now going into Yorick's jungle, looking for more stealing, but is thinking against it. Ooh, doesn't hit the spear. And here's the really bad negative. If you're doing a lane swap, boom. Oh, nice. Oh, that tower, though, is ramping up. If you're the one that's initiated the lane swap, so you've moved your bot lane to mid and you put your mid laner to bot to be like, right, let's like calm it down. Aurora is struggling. Let's put her on a side lane. And then she dies. It's a disaster. Like, it's a disaster, obviously, for the actual game, but it's also a massive morale disaster, especially for the Aurora. There's the Yorick coming in. Elise does manage to pick up a solo kill. The Nidalee, though, does steal it. If I was that Elise, I would not be fighting a 10-0 Nidalee. Because, again, you're probably just going to end up dead. Galio, again, the negative, obviously, I would say, of the enemy team even doing a lane swap. You're lane swapping into a Galio, who is, like, one of the best anti-mage champions in the game, and your 2 AP AG champions. So, like, Galio will be okay against you compared to even a normal mage. So, Dragon is coming up. Obviously, top lane, the Urgot is absolutely beasting it. So, that is actually feat of strength for the enemy team because they had the first 3 kills, and now Urgot has killed top lane tower. So, yeah, enemy team has feat of strength, but I think a lot of people obviously are very aware. Feat of strength, it's a bonus if you have it, but it doesn't really mean that much. I wouldn't be surprised if Riot look into the system a bit more, but it depends what they actually want it to be. I'm okay with it because if you lose feat of strength, you don't want to be like, well, the game is over, we've lost, and we may as well FF straight away. That's kind of lame. It's a system that it's a bit of like a tip of the hat. It's like a well done. You got ahead of it in the early game. You get this little bonus, but it's not game breaking. It's not like, oh, we literally cannot come back from that. They have feat of strength, we lose. So that I think it's kind of okay. But in this kind of brand new system that you're supposed to be a bit exciting, it's not very exciting that now people have realized it's not that strong. Elise overplaying, I'd say, a little bit, and you can see there Nidalee did leave the kill. When you're 10-0 at 15 minutes, you should start spreading some kills, especially if you're playing a champion that falls off like Nidalee. If you're playing an early game champion, yeah, you've done your job, you've snowballed, you're going to have a good early game, you're going to have a good mid game, but you fall off. So if there is opportunities that you can give a Riven or an Ezreal a kill, you should 100% do that. That's where a lot of people who may say, oh, I snowball playing an early game champion, but I can't win, that's probably what they fail to do. They probably go, no, I'm going to keep taking all the kills, and late game gets by, and you're like, oh, I don't do much anymore. Because fundamentally, when you're ahead, you're gaining two things over the enemy team in the early game. You're gaining experience, so Nidalee's level 11, Yorick's level 10. Experience and levels are a big factor in if you're stronger than an opponent. But obviously, you're also gaining, Riven's dead again, you're also gaining items. The later the game goes on, there's only so much more strong you can get. So if it goes to absolute late game, and even if you're 20-0, you manage to get to level 18 before everybody, you get to 6-item full build before anybody. If the game goes long enough, everybody eventually will end up level 18. Everyone eventually will end up full build. So your advantage is irrelevant when it comes to KDA if you let the game last long enough. So that's where if you are playing an early game champ, you've done your job, you're going to continue to snowball, you'll still pick up some kills every now and then, but if the option presents itself, if it's, oh, I can give this better scaling champion a free kill, you probably should consider doing it. Now, who would I consider giving kills if I was the Nidalee? I would only realistically give one champion kills over me right now. Oh, kind of two. Riven, I'd say, is situational that I would give a kill because she is really struggling. And is that ever going to get better for her against an Urgot? So-so. Ezreal, I would definitely give kills to. The one champion two champions I would just be like, I'm not going to give you kills willingly. I wouldn't really give kills willingly to the Galio. And I wouldn't willingly give, obviously, kills to the Rel. It's a support. So Urgot is trying to obviously make some plays. You know, this is where the enemy team, like the Urgot himself even, is going, right, we're losing. We need to try and do something here. I'll get involved. So that's the sign of a good top laner. Bad top laners just stay top lane the whole game and then moan when they lose. But well, no, if you've done well as top lane, you should get involved. Or it's either one of two things. It's either get involved or this Urgot should be here attacking this tier 2 all the time, which basically makes the enemy team, why did that do 0 damage? It makes the enemy team go, well, we can't ignore this Urgot, and because of how strong he is, you have to send 2 people. All right, enemy team is fighting. Aurora misplaying that quite hard, I would say, actually, by the way. Yeah, she did not use her ultimate very well. Ooh, Broxah going in. They really want the Nidalee, and Broxah does get 1,000 gold shutdown, so that is worth it for him. But it is giving the Ezreal, again, who scales better than the Nidalee, who hard focused the Nidalee, for giving Ezreal, a scaling AD carry, a quadra kill. So that's where, again, that's worth for blue team, clearly. It could even be a pentakill if they're not careful. If he gets this kill, it would count as a penta, but I don't think it's going to happen. And, you know, Nidalee gets a nice little recovery. She manages to go top lane. She's probably going to kill the tower. So that will be some nice bonus gold and experience for the Riven that's trying to get back into the game. So overall, that was still good for blue team. Yes, 1,000 gold shutdown is very good for the Yorick, but it wasn't worth it. Now, again, he's doing the build that I'm not a massive fan of. I would say I'd like to know the math of it. I'd say before the nerf, then Liandry's Yorick probably was worth it because the Ghouls and the Maiden were overpowered. Because more strength is going on the Yorick, I'd say on current patch, I bet the Liandry build is not very good on Yorick anymore. Because again, so much more strength is now being put directly on the Yorick, and Yorick himself, Liandry's is pointless. All the strength of Liandry's was to do with the Maiden and, you know, the tick damage and everything. Alright, so dragon is spawning, and you might be like, oh, the enemy team is nearby. Yeah, so they're 2 dragons down. If you go 3-0 when it comes to dragons, you're 99% of the time losing Dragon Soul. Everyone knows that, so they're going to, oh, mamma mia, wonderful combo, Rel. That's the nicety of having a Rel, pretty much the best engaging support in the game, and that is a perfect example realistically why 2 other supports have been kind of left in the shadows compared to Rel. Alistair, I'd say, is the big one. Alistair is basically worse than Rel in every single way. And even Leona. Like, Leona historically has always been pretty good, but Leona wouldn't have been able to do that. You know, like, that's the problem. Is Rel can engage the same as a Leona practically, and then she can bring them in even better than a Leona. So yeah, Rel it's the new champion effect. And obviously Rel's not even that new of a champion, but when you're making basically a modern version of older champs engaging tank support, they are most likely going to be better than the old versions. That's just the nature of Riot's game design, unfortunately. Yeah, Nidalee's had a very good game. Build-wise, Liandry first. You might be like, Liandry's on Nidalee. Isn't she a burst champion? Well, that's where she's got Conqueror. She's not playing for pure burst. She's playing with Conqueror. She's actually trying to have a bit more survivability. She's planning to go in Cougar form and actually not just get boom. You know, you're getting one shot straight away. Her second runes, by the way, are blue. So she is gaining damage from having SOLOQ. And, you know, she is getting some damage in the Conk tree. But yeah, she's got Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Haste, Cut Down, which obviously is nice because it's trying to tug, like, with a long-range spear is the idea there. You're getting a little bit more out of a long-range spear at high health. Transcendence is for some scaling. Water walking, if you're a jungler and you go blue tree, you'll practically always take water walking. And then she's going attack speed, probably just for pure jungle clear. Ability power, and then health, scaling health, not base health, which I'd say is somewhat surprising. At least not respecting the Rel. She might get away because, yeah, luckily enough, there was a plant. Ezreal doesn't hit the ultimate. Teleport coming down by the Urgot escaping. Really good escape, actually. But that's going to now translate into an Arakan. Again, Riven is doing, I'd say, relatively the right thing. You know, she's had a rough game. She's teleporting in now because she's realized, oh, I should probably help here. Galio, they're walking straight into an Urgot, man. That Urgot's damage is spicy. This is not a good fight. Target the one that's alone. Yorick is not dead, or he is dead. So that now the Nidalee's going to re-engage. If I was the red team, I wouldn't continue because now you're at disadvantage, and they overstayed, and that is going to be Arakan, and that might even be the game. So they actually started that fight relatively well, the red team. Another quadra kill, by the way. What I think they didn't do well, I think Brox's positioning was quite bad coming from the south by himself. He just got hard focus. But after the enemy team actually had a good start, they're not giga strong. They are still really behind this game. They should have disengaged. I don't think there was a chance blue team would have actually stopped and also disengaged at the same time, going, all right, we'll just not do it right now. But because of the continuation, it enabled Nidalee to reset, land a good spear, and it, you know, inevitable did happen. But that is a Nidalee. Is she still the queen of solo queue? I'd say one of, but you have to have a good game. If you have a bad early game on Nidalee, you're gonna feel really bad. But yeah, let me know what you think. Obviously she is somewhat of a specialist champion. That's kind of one of the negatives. And you know, when people say why is she a specialist champion, it's knowing your limits. That's kind of it. You know, mechanically landing spears is a skill shot, but other than that, she isn't that complicated as a champion. But the thing with Nidalee is you need to know how much damage you're doing at any given time. Can you actually do what you're planning? That's kind of the skill of Nidalee. And because of how high risk she is of going for constant invades, you really need to know that. And, you know, certain matchups, do I win versus that champion? It's a very knowledge-based. But yeah, that's going to be it. Do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Welcome to the Rift, where the legends play. It's Aussie games bringing skill every day. From tips to tricks and play so fine. You'll learn the game and have a good time. Thanks for watching, you're the real MVP. Hit that like and sub, join the family tree. Like, comment, and subscribe. Keep the Aussie dream alive. Tune in on Twitch, it's the place to be. Aussie games.